whispers here.
Can I read, brother?
Yes, sister, please go on.
Okay.
Are you able to
Whispers
see,
from
right?
the, yeah.
Okay.
Whispers from the brighter world. Beloved Master, Revered Babuji Maharaj. Wednesday, October 6, 2004, 10 a.m. Inner peace is earned and obtained by working on oneself, pruning away all that can obstruct it. Caught up in the moment of life, one must stay the course while being involved in the many necessities of an incarnation. Human beings have no possibility of escaping this, but they still have a secret side of themselves where a parallel life can be developed, guided by the attraction of the divine and leading to a high level of spirituality. There lies the reflection of the real thing in its most subtle aspect. Seek and you shall find. It is all contained in these words. And truly seeking leads to this conclusion. To find is to find oneself, to unite with the divine, with this flame standing vigilant in the complex and sacred heart of the human being inhabited by divinity. There is no need to climb mountains, to roam the world in search of strong sensations. What human beings seek is, in reality, within them. They are most often unaware of it, and even if they know it, they still have to take the trouble to make the necessary journey. There is more than one way to achieve it. You don't necessarily have to live as a hermit to do it. It is all contained in the method used, and our path is one of them. What remains is the spirit and manner in which the practice is carried out and the perseverance to achieve the result. Everything is possible with the determination to succeed. Let everyone take the trouble to listen to themselves, to observe themselves without complacency, and to act for the best according to the aspirations of the soul. One day, the divine goal will be marched. May all our brothers and sisters achieve it with our blessings, Babuji.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Anybody wants to talk?
Inner peace is, we have to work on ourselves and we have to cut off whatever that impediments that obstruct us. But in the material life, when we are caught up with so many other things, it's very important to stay on the path. Even though we are involved in, I think I'm just repeating, many necessities of an incarnation. Yes, it's very important to be staying on the path, understanding its importance. And we have to consciously cut off all the impediments.
Okay. Sure, sister. Like I have one more hand raised. Go ahead, brother.
Here, of course, when we do our abhyas meditation in the morning, we have the condition, and with AIOU, there is some kind of freshness and enthusiasm, and we go about our work. More helpful while doing our daily duties is constant remembrance technique, which Babuji has given, and it's also there in the nine page document. He says, before you do anything, just have a thought that master is doing.
Mm-hmm.
This is of immense benefit. Like for example, whatever one is, we don't form samskaras, and whatever thought is necessary to do what is necessary comes up, and it's like a flow.
Correct.
So the technique helps very much.
No, but where are you connecting that from here? Are you saying
Yeah, it
whatever be
says that
the
caught up
ups and
in the.
downs, you
Yeah,
play
yeah.
the
Actually,
course?
there are.
Okay.
Yeah. Inner peace is earned is when we do our morning meditation, retaining that condition. Constant remembrance is how to, we're caught up in the, that part. So Baburi has given a clear solution. That technique which I spoke about.
Got it. Okay. Yes, brother. One more hand I see.
Good evening, brother. Um, inner peace. What my understanding is, inner peace and by working on oneself. I mean, explaining that. I mean, pruning away
Mm-hmm.
the removing those that are obstructing it. But he is saying that it's in a way giving an hint that yes,
Mm-hmm.
all the incarnations have the necessities of their regular life. I mean, whatever that they need to fulfill, their commitments, everything as part of the life. But there is a possibility that we can have a separate, parallel path, to the divinity that everyone should develop, because we go on with our necessities of incarnation alone. That is the only path we think. But he says that there is a parallel thing that you need to develop, and that will lead to the high spirituality, and that will give us the real being. So that
Okay.
is what my understanding is, brother. Thank you.
Great. That is good. Correct. Yes, I think that is the essence of the first one. What do you think about this seek and you shall find? Yeah, sister, you want to talk to the next or the
Yeah,
first
the
paragraph?
next one, brother.
Mm.
Here, Babuji says, those who are seeking for the spiritual growth, uh, they will find a way uh, in this, and it will lead to this final destination where one can seek to unite with the divine. And we have to be very vigilant and complex in the sacred heart so that it can be inhabited by the divine.
Mhm. Standing vigilant. That means you have to be vigilant. I mean, in the sacred heart, in the probably you need to be aware of what is going on, right? That is also part of seeking. Uh, Seek and you shall find. Okay. Next. Yes, brother.
Yeah, brother, I would. This sentence, seek and you shall find, is a
Hmm.
very exciting one, and it can give different meanings to different type of people, in which
Okay.
he has only said, you must really do your effort to find, and you have to refine your processes of meditation, cleaning, etc. In the path of a proper human life. You lead contented and well directed life so that you can find. Now, the next part of it is, what should we find? The finding of that is actually within ourselves. It is not that we have to go outside to various places to find something, but we have to go inside ourselves, find the truth inside, which is actually the ultimate goal of all human life. In other words, it is to find yourself. And once you find yourself, you unite. You unite in the sense that you have to develop certain means and activities which coincide with the condition inside, which you have to see outside. Now, this brings about a lot of vigilance in life, when you want to do this. And once you do this, you have ultimately reached a state of unity, which is probably the goal of human life. This is what I understand by this brief paragraph.
Hmm. Yeah. I think it's as you said, the seek and you shall find is a very attractive, phrase there. I was thinking the with this flame standing is more of that flame probably represents that seek that you are trying to seek, right? That is the burning flame that will remain vigilant. That
Yeah.
is kind of guarding, making sure that you don't go astray.
No.
That is also one way I thought. Yes,
No.
brother.
Here, masters used one word, craving. Like even while we go about doing our work during the day, he said that at the background you should always have that craving and like some kind of dependency on master.
Mhm.
So that will help us stay connected, and it's also very empowering in a soft way.
Yeah, correct. In a way, staying vigilant also could be something what you just said, right? Once in a while, I mean, initially that's how we do constant remembrance also, right? You get connected, you connect to the master in the middle of the work that you're doing. All of that. Those are some of the techniques, definitely. The next is where is that search, right? Do we have to go around looking for mountains? All of that. I mean, no need to do. It's all within you. That is a concept. Yes, brother. Go ahead. You can take it up.
Yeah, I guess like no need to go to the Himalayas. Uh, um, or I think the second part is interesting. They no need to go and search for strong sensations. You,
Mm,
yeah, all right. And it's within us. That's what it's talking about. The strong sensations, I think, is um, like sometimes people say, I was here, and then it was I could feel the vibes there or whatever,
correct,
right?
correct.
So maybe,
Vibrations, they say, right? They go to this
right,
temple. I mean,
ah,
I'm just giving temple example. He's not talking about temple,
exactly,
but
yeah,
then
yeah.
that is
Exactly, yeah.
also one Indian way
One,
of saying,
you
yeah,
don't
correct,
need to, correct. That's what I related it to.
correct.
I
Yeah.
think and then he talks about you can combine your normal life, right, with the spiritual life, both combined, right?
Mm,
I thought that it's all contained in the method used, and I think Babaji's saying, our path is one of them. He's not saying this is the only path.
correct.
There are many
That's
paths,
very
and this is
important.
one of them. Yeah.
Mm,
And I think this next part is what remains the spirit and manner in which the practice is carried out. I related to Daji keeps talking about this attitude is 95%, right?
mm, mm, mm.
And are you praying or are you saying a prayer or are you being prayerful, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So I think those are some thoughts that came to me.
Great.
Perseverance, yeah, I
Mhm.
think, and determination.
Yeah. So one more thing I thought in this paragraph was even if you know it, you still have to take the trouble to make the
Ah,
necessary journey. So that means it's not like, I mean, one easy interpretation is you have all the knowledge, you know there is a Brahman or
ah,
whatever in the normal, philosophical way. So that doesn't mean that you are realized. So you still have to take the journey, that yatra. You'll have to
yeah,
do that to even complete. That's a good point, I thought.
correct. Actually, effort. There's some self-effort required. Yeah.
Yeah, another thing is let us take the trouble to listen to themselves, mostly listening to the heart. That is a common interpretation, to observe themselves without complacency. And again, last time we read, one whispers, they were also talking about objectively look at it, no? So there is another without complacency, look, observe yourself. Don't think I have arrived. Always there should be the goal in mind, and you should keep going. Anyway, the journey is infinite, so you would continue to that according to the aspiration. So, okay, I think we have sufficiently discussed. I can stop this and bring up the presentation. Are you able to see? I think I'll bring it down.
Yes,
but
brother,
we are able to
we
see.
can say.
Mm, I have a few points, that's why I try to keep it in my view. So where are we? We have to start the central region, right? You remember we completed the mm, mind region, and there were some questions on the mind, and then we are getting into the central region. So what I think is this is quite a big chapter and a lot of information. So a lot of things are there. We'll see how much we can cover. Brother said there are 3 days. From what I planned, like we could do it in 2 days, but let us see if you want, we can take one more additional day. And of course, a lot of questions also could come. Mm. So these are the again, some of it could be a little bit imaginative for us in the sense you have to imagine there may not be revelations from Babuji with this, how he's seeing the central region. So very interesting topic. Let's get on. So introduction to central region. The 3 points is it is considered the highest stage of spiritual evolution. In fact, the central region was discovered, or I would say this concept that you can reach the central region was by or Lalaji Maharaj. Before that, I don't think there was any talk about it at all. So this is beyond matter, beyond energy, truth, consciousness. So everything ends. We also discussed in the mind region. Towards the end of the mind region, it will all end, and then you will be ready to be entering into this state of central region. So there are some requirements to get into this central region. One of it is you have to lose all kinds of layers to layers, whatever your identity, consciousness, all of that. Also, you will go beyond it. As you know, the one of the words that Babaji Maharaj uses is a state of nothingness. We'll talk about that also. So they should use a word to define it, right? This is something very charming, magnificent, something that is beyond what the human had gone. So there is nothing in that. So nothingness is what he's talking about. I think there are some more points that we will talk. Last week or last time also we thought, there were some words given for central region. It's a vibrationless vibration, and there is a super fine state. There's a very, very fine state of everything will be there. It is beyond the first mind. So there were some questions people were saying. I think first mind is the show, but beyond that, if you go, I think is the central region. That's where it is. So these are some of the things. We will talk more on that, but we'll start with these aspects first. Next slide. As usual, point number 13 also has this upper and the lower region. And this is the highest state of super consciousness. You remember we had it in point number 1 in the heart region, and point number 1, it was 6 and 10, right? And then we have it on 13 also. So here the right side of the region, right side from the body perspective is the upper, the left side is the lower. It is like the point 1 that we had. So that the principle of inverted O, they say, like it keeps inverting in every region. So in back on the central region, it is like the point 1. Like means the position of the upper and lower I meant there. Now, what is so great about 13th point is the stage of super consciousness. Again, spiritual anatomy book, you see, also Daji has also started everything on central region starting from 13. So 13th point is the central region actually. So finest state of super consciousness prevails here. And the upper, there are a few things that Babuji has mentioned. The U and L portion of it, the upper region is reserved for the incarnation or deity to come in. The incarnations are there, right? Whichever the nature needs for their for kind of setting things right. There are incarnated souls that are coming, or incarnations or deities that are coming in that will land in this upper region. Very, very rare occasion bestowed on some special personality too. When you get into 13th point, you can land directly into the upper region only for these kinds of things. Under very rare occasions, it is also given to special personality, is what Babuji writes. And special personality is condition is next to that of an incarnation. Pretty much similar in terms of the position. Special personality is also there to take care of the nature, or do the nature's work, not take care of the nature, do the nature's work. There are commands that are given to the special personality. The special personality does the work as per the nature. And also in a short subtext in that page, if you look at it, he has written, I think, let me get the book. He has written that the special personality is already born, so no guesses who it is. So in that subtext, you can also see that you already know that the special personality is already at work for 2.5 years. Maybe they're saying from the way it is mentioned very indirectly. Babuji says obviously that means that probably the work started from 1944, right around. Babuji had some those entries that they started, right, talking to Lalaji Maharaj and all of that. So the personality is already there. That is one more point that Babuji mentions here. Let's move on. What is the center? The center is written as basically something which is end of all the activities. It is all activities, motion, whatever we say, everything ends the central region. We enter the godly region. We are also calling mind region also as a godly region, but we enter this godly region in the region in a very pure state, very pure form. Okay, so it's an absolute motionless, still, and without attributes. If you look at the points here, absolute, motionless, still, and attributes. Those are some of the definitions of the center. There is no energy, power, activity, or consciousness, but everything comes from here. So we'll come to that point. But at the moment, understand that there is no energy or activity that is going there. Surrounding it is a latent motion. Again, we'll talk about it in a further slides. We have talked about this show and latent motion even in earlier chapters. So there's a subtle stir that happens is around this center. Beneath the center is what they say. Okay, the stir caused the creation. We know about that. Now there are some other points that has been discussed. It is actually saying that when we enter this region, the self is realized. Whatever realization we are looking at, the soul wanted to go back, all of that. That state is reached when you get into the central region. And we are above consciousness. So we have gone beyond the consciousness also. Consciousness exists in the heart as consciousness. It also exists as potentiality. He uses the word potentiality in the mind region. And then in the central region, it's a more refined. We actually go beyond it. Beyond that is what we are in the central region. There is also one concept which Babuji is talking about, that since some of the philosophers call this region as a region of truth. But he says this is even beyond truth. You can't call it as truth. Because if you remember some of our philosophy or whatever we have read, they say that ultimately what you're looking for is everything is gone and there is something called truth. But he is just saying that don't think like that. This is not really truth. Truth also we have left behind itself. This is beyond truth. Because if you look at truth, he argues that there is some element of untruth also. The moment you say truth, there must be some untruth, right? So there is like again duality. All those things are there. But don't in central region, it is wrong to say that ultimately it is truth. We have gone beyond truth. So that is one thing that he says. This is also one word he uses is the mother tincture. He had used it on earlier occasions also. Mother tincture means this is the root of everything. The root from where all the power descended, the root from where all these other things like consciousness, all of this has come from this place. So this is the mother tincture. And he describes it as true reality. I mean, it's nothing to do with the truth I'm saying. It's just a reality. Reality in the naked form. Reality is as is, pure and simple. That is the way he is describing it. So things to remember is this is nothing to do with truth. We are also beyond truth. We are also beyond consciousness in the central region. Okay. So let's see what other things are there about this particular consciousness higher stages. So what is this potentiality? So in heart region, you have the consciousness. But in the mind region, the same thing is called as a more refined consciousness. I think it is called as potentiality of that. Okay. So where does that come from? That potentiality comes from the power that is there from the central region. Basically, that is the answer. There is also one word called tam. Tam is the last. I mean, that's a very famous statement. Tam is the last resting place for a yogi. What is tam? It is nothing to do with those tamas, rajas, those gunas. Don't confuse with that. Tam is an expression of the state. It is the last stage. It's just an expression of that stage that is there. And liberated souls go beyond this potential. Potentiality is again mind region, you can think of it. Liberated souls go beyond this. And it is just a consciousness, is just like also Babuji has written this in other books also, I think, Reality at Dawn, that it's just a toy for some of the yogis. So you can either go, you can utilize potentiality, that is, which is existing in the mind region, or the consciousness as you like, for the liberated souls who are there already in the central region. But if you still talk about potentiality and all of that, you have not come to central region, he says. You don't, if you have to go beyond that to utilize the potentiality. So nothingness is the definition of central region. Whenever they say it's nothingness or zero, that is the center, that is the definition. And the last point I talked, earlier philosophers taught truth was a higher state before the discovery of central region. They thought that truth was ultimate, but that is not the case. Okay, and one has to keep on going to the nothingness or zero. That is what the whole concept is in the central region. And another aspect that Babuji brings up is this is achieved, of course, we all know Saj Marg has approached up to the highest region, central region, and all that. So, no books or any rituals or any external knowledge will help to come here. It is only practical method that will help you to come into this region. Otherwise, there's no other way you can come to this region. And another aspect of truth, Babuji says, is truth is real. Truth is spiritual science says truth is absolute. That is, after the matter ends. Matter is whatever you see in the solid form that ends. Truth is what remains, they are saying. But even after truth, what remains, that is in the central region. So you have to think of central region as something that is not there. Again, same point, we keep on coming to that. So he also used a word called Chaitanya. Chaitanya is also one more word. There's something called the Chaitanya for that. Probably the base of everything, right? And that is a mother tincture as well. Everything comes from that. And this is described as nothingness, zero, inactiveness. All of this are the definitions of central. So basically, they're saying there's nothing there. Nothingness is what you will experience. Nothingness. I won't say nothing is that. I should say nothingness. That is the word. Um, so this is just a recap. Same thing that we just learned. Truth, consciousness, knowledge, they're all at the only lower stages, right? We are going beyond that. Central region transcends all of them. We are going much, much above. And I also talked about this concept. Consciousness is seen as a toy for the beginners. That means you can, when I say toy, or it is just think of it as a tool you can utilize. You can utilize the way you can go to any side, any spectrum of the consciousness that we have. That is what it means when I say toy. So once you go beyond consciousness, then you can utilize the consciousness like a toy. That is a concept. And souls here partake of potentiality, source of consciousness itself. These are the points here. It's more like a recap actually. These are some of the points that we have discussed so far. Okay. These are in the first few pages. So just note down your questions. Maybe we can take questions towards the end. I know it's too much of sometimes too many concepts, but so far what you have talked is just that it is not the truth. It is beyond truth. It is nothingness or zero, and it is the highest approach a person can. The state of tam, which is a yogi, is the highest state that can be in. That is also being discussed so far. Now let's go a little bit ahead. What is the ego? So there are, in subsequent slides, they also talk about different aspects of ego. So ego, look at it. I mean, from heart region, we have the ego, and then it gets slightly refined. We go to mind region. And what happens to ego in the central region is what we'll discover or talk about it in the next few slides. But before that, every person is hunting after egoism, in the sense like they want to know, they want to curb the whatever, we want to control the ego in the natural language that we use, right, in the conversations, right? He has a lot of ego. That's what we say. There's a fight because of the ego. All of these things we use. So somehow we are going behind it. But basically, we are the ones who are getting hunted. I don't think we can go and, I mean, in a normal circumstance, in a normal people, we may become hunted. We are not trying to hunt down the ego there. So that is the general situation that we are in. So either the initial stage is the ego is connected to the body. That means the body conscious. Always body is the great for you. Everything is happening for the body. You are the center to the entire conversation. Everything is related to you. That is a lower form of the ego, grosser form. As you go towards the final stage, it gets refined. We'll talk about that. So it is also ego can exist in different regions in a different way. That is a concept. And Babuji very clearly says ego is the impediment in realizing God. If you have ego, I don't think you can realize God. This is I mean, you cannot even come into central region. So that is important that we refine it. And this process of Sahaj Marg or heartfulness is what is giving us the opportunity to do so. And again, recap of it. In the heart region, it is a solid form. That means it's like a body. You can think of it as a matter. I mean, just giving an example. The ego is in a very gross, solid form. Mind region is slightly finer, but still there is ego. So Babuji says defect is a defect, right? Even if it is, so it exists as a defect. So call it as a defect. Don't say that it is fine means it's okay. I can live with the ego. Maybe finer ones are still dangerous. So he calls it nonetheless it is a defect. Then central region, ego transforms itself into what is called as identity. So that is a concept. It will become an identity. You can compare that to having in all these corporates, you carry a badge. You have this tag which you carry along, saying that has your name and whatever phone number, etc. So almost like that. I mean, you don't. It's somebody has given you that identity. Okay, you're carrying it. You can keep the identity away, but that is a different concept. But it is not pretty much like that. An example I gave you, like an identity tag that you carry, ID cards that you carry, almost like that. So egoism is in the naked form, in the final form, in the conscious, in the central region. And this also becomes very interesting once you get liberated. If you are liberated in a particular janma, the identity of the janma is what is going to be attached to you, in the sense that that identity of that janma is where you got liberated, is how it will stay with you for the in the central region. So identities will be there in the central region, and that will also go only during the Mahapralaya. That also he talks about it little later. So, what other aspects Babuji says about ego is there is a force of ego in the mind region, because there is in the mind region. Remember, there is a lot of power. They say, right? The power is coming. It is coming like light. All that they say, like shower of light. So there is a power. Mind region has a lot of power. So just like the power is absorbed, the ego also, subtle ego also receives a lot of power in the form of vibrations. So that is how it is. It actually becomes probably, even though it is subtle, it could become very, very powerful too. But if your goal is strong, obviously you're having a master of the caliber, you have the right goal, you have the willpower to go to the highest stage and all of that, then you can start actually drawing energy from the central region, which even though you're in that mind region, I'm telling about this as a mind. Suppose you're in the mind region and this is a final stage, you don't get succumbed to your own ego there. You start drawing energies from the central region, which will help you in the right. I mean, with master's grace, this happens. It's just that you will be able to refine the ego to an extent that you will be eligible to enter the central region. That is how it is. So he uses a word called remodels ego, remodeling ego. And that is how you'll finally go. Once you enter central region, it is ego exists as what is called as identity, and identity will remain till you leave the body. That will remain with you, right? So that is what it is. In fact, liberated souls also will have that identity. And finally, when Mahapralaya happens, all identities will collapse. Uh, the identities of all these liberated souls also will go off. It will become one. Whatever is going to happen for the next creation, right? That will be the precursor to the next creation. Anyway, that is different. Maybe Babuji talks about it later. So this is a background I wanted to give. So there is ego. It will become an identity, and as we go, it gets refined. And ego is an impediment. So let's not, you know, say that it is refined is okay and all of that. Not like that. It is always an impediment in realizing God. Now, also try to put it in a small kind of a process flow here. I know it is difficult to read, but I'll try to read it out. It is just showing that one stage to second stage. First stage is the gross egoism. So the body conscious. So there is actually these points are written in the book as well. What are the four stages of egoism? In fact, some of the open book questions also may come on that. So all those four egoisms are already there in the book. Same thing has been represented here. So in summary, first we talked about it. First region is gross. Body is the doer. So always you have that. Um, the idea of the ego starts from the body, solidity of things, and a very strong feeling that you are doing it. That is the lowest and the crudest form of the ego. And the person is pretty much body conscious. Pretty much his conscious is on the body. Nothing beyond it, and everything revolves around the body for that person. That is represented in this green box. Slightly, if you go to the next stage, you feel that the body is not the doer. Sometimes, depending on the background that you have, some people attribute it to some god. Some people may say soul is the doer. I'm not the doer. Somebody else is doing the work. Um, Something higher you will attribute. Some people may also say, there is a power that is doing it. I mean, just they feel that they are not doing it. So it's not like they have realized that something else. It is just the feeling. First feeling was I do everything. Second stage is sometimes soul or some higher power or God or whatever the concepts they are called. They just feel that that is the doer. It's just a feeling. The third stage is really in the mind region. It is not done by the doer. The work is done automatically with no idea of the doer. So till here, you were the doer, you knew everything. Next, you were also doing, but you attributed it to something higher. Third, it is not at all done by the doer. Work is automatically happening without, with no idea. Something is happening, but it is not at all done by the doer. So in this stage, as I just said, you don't get the idea of how is the work done or who did the work. You will not have much of an idea on that. Then the next stage is you think that is refined and good. That's mostly whatever I just said right now is in the mind region. But if you go even beyond that, you no longer feel the work is being done. I mean, you don't even feel that the work is happening. Uh, Forget about automatically happening. You don't even know the work is happening. So a very good example again that Babuji gives is man, sleeping and a mosquito comes and bites without even knowing, without even getting upset or out. I mean, getting up from the sleep. Sometimes you just scratch it and it go back to sleep. You don't even know next day morning that all this happens, right? So that example is given to say that you don't even know the work is happening, but it is happening. In that way, that kind of comparison is given. So no idea of the action before it happens. You are not planning it. No idea of the action during, and no idea of the action after also. So this is also called as sleeping state in the waking condition. That is also called as a sleeping state in the waking condition. Okay. This is the next stage that is there. And when you are in this stage, it's a very good thing, right? Because all of our samskaras, all of it is because of the impressions or the actions or the inactions that we do, actions that we did not do. All that creates samskaras. We have read about it. But here in this stage, the stage which I just said, you don't even know work is happening automatically. Right? That stage, actions do not leave any impressions. That is very important. So because you are not even the doer, you don't even know the work is happening. There's no impressions that is there on you. So after that, the ego will turn into little bit beyond that, it will turn into what is called as identity. And I told about it. The identity disappears only during Mahapralaya. That is when everything collapses, goes back to the state it was there before creation. That is what is the Mahapralaya. And everything loses their individual identities. Okay. That is the essence, these four pictures that we are talking about. Let us see what else is there. Babuji also describes how a person is going to live with this identity. When you reach that identity stage, a person gets, I mean, these are the things he has said. We should look at it like what happens when you reach that identity state. I think some people were also asking that question. One of the things is you don't know the difference between any forms of living or non-living, all of that. The stone, Babuji says, the stone or the plant or the animal, all the life form you feel is same. There's no difference at all. That is the kind of feeling you get. He also uses the word problem of the life is solved. Once you reach this stage, problem of the life is solved. There's no difference that comes into your mind at all. And also, a person with identity gets the instructions from the absolute base. Absolute base, I'm referring to the center of everything, right? From there, how does the message or the instructions come? He has not totally explained it. He says it's a vibrationless vibration that is there in this region, so we can put 1 + 1 to 2 together there. But there is instructions directly that is coming in from that absolute base. If there is a special personality, special powers are allocated to do the work. Wave of the godly work is felt in that person all the time, and he sets himself to do the work accordingly. Another aspect is any order of the nature. If you are in that state, any order of the nature that is going through, you can catch it. Catch it meaning you will be able to understand that something is going on. That's my interpretation. You can read everything that is happening in that nature. That is the state when you go to that super refined state of the ego, when you are in the identity. The last point is what I was saying, oneness. That is, you don't know the difference between stone and the plant, and all of that seems to be same. So that is that oneness. Everything is same. That is the feeling you get if a person having the identity. Again, when I keep saying identity, you can refer this to as person in the central region also. And he also then immediately switches, Babaji switches to this, saying that for a special personality is always there. He's talking from the Mahapralaya perspective. That is the interpretation I got it. I made it, is that one personality is always in charge of the universe at a time. And that personality will be responsible at the time of Mahapralaya. He will take the help of some other designated liberated souls. I mean, this is some of the revelations he's telling, to dissolve the creation. Whatever is the nature's order to dissolve, that special personality does it. There is always a special personality in the universe at any given time. So let's keep it like that. So these are all the possibilities. You can get into the central region, and all of these are the possibilities. We'll also go a little bit. I know it's what is the time? Maybe 5 more minutes, because too much of concepts we are introducing. I'll then pause. This is a picture that is there in the book, a central region, right? It's a circle, and with a dot in the center and C marked in it. Okay. So what does it mean? Babuji describes, of course, it is his vision that he's describing. I mean, not exactly it will be like this, but you have to, if you have to explain it to people, he has used this diagram. Okay. So he says sea is the landing place of the liberated souls. That I mean, as seen is the center, as near to the center as possible. So around the center there will be swimming. Swimming is another word he uses because it's an infinite ocean. People keep swimming, and near about the center they keep swimming. Okay. Center itself has no action, but near about invisible motions, again motion which is not visible, invisible motions are there that we have been hearing, talking about it quite a bit, right? So around the center the invisible motions are there, but center itself has no action, center itself has nothing. So what do these liberated souls or whoever land do? They swim and swim near about the center, they keep on swimming, and it's a vast expanse. We also talked about that first rishi, who, I mean, again, a revelation, he says that the first Rishi who landed is still swimming. It's such a big ocean. It's an infinity in infinity. Can't even imagine that. So that is the, if somebody says, how physically, how is this? We'll talk about it a little bit more in a couple of more slides. In central region, how is it if somebody is saying, this is the picture you should remember that Babuji has written. It's a circle with a sea and a lot of dots. We'll talk about the dots also. One more central region power related. So nothingness should not be confused as something that does not have any power, which is not that. So he's using a dynamo as an example here. Dynamo also has no power, but if you align the magnets in a certain way and rotate the magnet, uh, power gets generated, right? That is the dynamo principle, right? So here, example is similar. So there is a field. You just like you create a magnetic field, and then you can feel the magnetic field. How do you feel? I mean, there are so many experiments you can do. Electric field also you can feel, right? In the sense, feel means through instruments you can make out. Like that, this field also is created. Field for the power is created. How is it created? In this spiritual sense, it is through the latent motion. Again, through the latent motion, a power is created, and the power rushes out. Power rushes out from the center region. That is what it is. And says again, C is the center, absolutely motionless, no energy, no power there. But adjacent to it is a latent motion which is there. Now, these are some of the points. But if you look at the slide itself says again nothingness. Don't confuse nothing with saying there is nothing there. It is nothing to do with the power. That is the state. It is called nothingness. All in the pure form. There's always purity there, pure form. I mean, refined state of everything. I talked about it. No amalgamation, no mixing of anything. There is no action. There are invisible motions, sorry, around it. It is infinity within itself. That's the definition of the central power that is there. He also describes it as one will plunge into the sea of wonder and amazement. So it's really such a amazing thing. He's describing the central region as something very amazing here. And the dynamo is an example that we took for describing, just like the dynamo creates the power, this field also, because of the latent motion creates, and also that power, dynamo power is within us. Obviously, that is within the heart. Okay, that is where we are connected to the invisible motion as well. Central region itself is very quiet or very silent, he says. Only the power begins to rush out from this region, and it rushes out through the proper terminals that are there. So this is about, again, more description about the central region. Let me see if I can stop. There is also something that the master, I mean, how can you go into the central region, right? There is a ring around the central region, they say. So light, he uses the word light, but immediately Babuji says he's using it light for the sake of explaining, but it is light also is very dense. The light as we know it is very dense. So this is more subtle than that. So there is a light which is like a light, more subtle than that, comes out. It forms a ring. Imagine that this circle that we saw here, right? that is the way I have understood, is there is this circle. So there is this boundary circle that we saw. That is where at the edge of it is where you'll see the light. Okay. And to enter the region, you need to cross that ring. And we cannot enter just like that. Obviously, you should be in a state where you can enter. Second is, in our case, which is also Taji has written, master of the caliber will be able to carry us and deliver us to the central region. That is what happens. So it is not like your journey, you just enter the 13th point. You have to wait for it. Master will be able to take you, in our case, and deliver. So while you're alive, so this is the greatest discovery of Lalaji Maharaj, which he also talks later on. The greatest thing is when you are alive, you are also alive in central region, right? You don't have to die, lose the body, take the identity, go to central region. A lot of liberated souls are there, but then with this, you can be alive on earth and also be on the central region. If master is going to deliver you there, that is the concept that we have here, which has been explained. And if you look at the faint, if you look at the atmosphere of the central region, it is something like grayish, neither dawn, neither light nor dark, something like that they describe. It's almost like a colorless. Because you also, people may ask, what is the color there and all of that, right? So that is the answer for this. There is another way of saying faint reflection of colorless. Colorlessness, the faint reflection of, if there is no color, how does it look? Faint reflection. That is what is coming, it's there in the central region. In the shadowy form. See, this is kind of a language it is doing. Throwing forth in central region something in the shadowy form expressed as light. There is some kind of a shadowy form that you can see. That's why I think it is either neither dark or light. Something like that is also described. Souls here appear like formless shadows swimming in the vastness of the central region. I talked about other points. You can also, when you're on earth, also having bodies, if you are sufficiently practiced in the grace of the master, you can go there, swim. All of that is there. That is the invention of Lalaji Maharaj. Where do they swim? They swim in the utter nothingness. There's nothing there. Nothingness is what we are swimming in the central region. I'll probably take one more here and then stop. There is also this picture that I have shown. I picked it up from the internet. So Babaji has written something like eggs of a fish. Eggs of a fish in the spawn. Only for explanation they use this. Means eggs of a fish would be so many, right? Plenty of eggs, maybe I don't know, thousands, goes to millions, I think. So that is the kind of things that are there in the central region, he says. From the latent motion, egg-like cells emerge. Egg-like cells emerge, and the comparison he is given is that of a fish. Um, in somewhat lot of eggs are laid in a vast space. How does it look? It looks like that, and that is only for explanation, mind you. There is no fish or egg there. They're all part of the center. And what is the spawn? Spawn is nothing but eggs of fishes in a very big group. If they start laying, that is called a spawn. That's all. So each cell contains a concentrated power, and each cell governs a certain world, certain universe that is there. So as many cells are there, so many worlds are there. Imagine, because you again look at the concept. We are in central region from where everything has come. Is it not? So each cell represents one world. Each cell governs a world. Cell like this. For a picture I have shown like this. So each cell in that will govern a world. And one cell or egg-like thing is a master of one world. So there are so many worlds there. And he's also said that there is a master cell, which is which was the first cell that got created when the power started rushing in, and then there are so many other cells created. So that master cell, or think of it like that, there is one master cell, there are so many other cells. That master cell, with that master cell, our world is connected. That is where we are living today. Earth is connected with that. That's why it is kind of a very special and good. The personalities that are coming from this is directly connected to the center. So that is one opportunity here. of being on Earth. That is what Babuji writes. And he also says that just like he compares it like with a nuclear bomb or an atom splitting, creating that energy. There is also a science wherein you can split the cell and get the energy out of it, right? That is also there. Um, and if you know the science, that energy is, he says, is much bigger than a atomic energy that we know. That is, each cell has that kind of a powerful energy here. Each cell or the fish egg-like structure that he's talking about. He gives two examples. Arjuna in the Mahabharata knew how to split the atom, nothing to do with this cell, but he knew how to split the atom and create that energy. But he did not use that weapon because in those times they were not supposed to use it. And another example he gives is Hanuman using the willpower and you know get all the gas energy around Lanka to burn Lanka. You know that story goes. So he says in the modern science you need so many apparatus, so much of instruments to split the cell and all of that. So in yogic science, just with a thought power, a yogi of caliber can do all of this. That means it's a very powerful thing, very powerful thing that is there in the central region. Can a yogi of caliber can also do this? So it is just giving an example of how the cell has the power, and each cell controls a world. These are the concepts that if you understand, that should be okay. And the last point was that the great stages can tap this energy, and it is much bigger than the atomic power. I know I talked quite a bit. I think I should stop here. If you have noted any questions, we can go through that.
Brother,
Yes,
in
I'll start
Abhyasis,
from here. Mhm. Yeah.
brother,
Yes, brother.
how we feel the nothingness or zero condition.
Mhm. How you feel means like probably it will be like a very normal person. You'll just do everything, but you are not even understanding that you are the doer, right? That is, I mean, if your person is amongst us, uh, that will be the condition. Probably mm, the region that we are talking, central region, that he describes as nothingness. I don't think vacuum would be a closer example, but vacuum, something
Emptiness.
like that will be the feeling, But you do all the work. It is not like you're just blank and sitting somewhere. You are also leading the life.
Uh-huh.
That is what I understand. But we are
Okay,
not
brother.
talking about how a person is feeling nothingness. This chapter was more about central region having that nothingness. I mean, he describes that region as nothingness. But yeah, your question is also valid. I think it will be a much refined state than what mind region will feel. You are not the doer. All those from an ego perspective, we can explain the answer. Explain you how we would be feeling, right? Which I just said, the fourth point, fourth stages of ego. That is how you're just an identity, and you know you're also existing with all. I mean, with power of the nature. You're doing work for the nature. All of this also could be there.
Refined form of egoism.
Yeah, in central region, yes, correct. Nothingness is a state where probably yes, identity is where it is. Correct.
Okay, brother. Thank you.
Okay. See some more hands raised.
But I just want to ask on the Chaitanya basically. You said it's mother tincture on nothingness. Is it the awareness also, brother? Because that's what my understanding is that Chaitanya means awareness, and till that point we reach to the central point, that awareness is always there.
We go beyond consciousness. or it is the mother tincture means it was like what causes that consciousness. I think that is what is called that Chaitanya consciousness. I don't know what is there in English for that, right? That is my understanding. I mean, awareness, all of this will be you'll transcend and go beyond that.
Okay.
But you can utilize the consciousness as you want. If you are in that region, you can look at the potential. You have that flexibility also, I think. So it is mm, the state where that consciousness is coming from. That state is called that Chaitanya.
Okay. And it's difficult little bit, brother.
Yeah. Because awareness, if you say, because we say consciousness is the intensity of that awareness. So awareness word we use in the lower regions, like heart, mind, all that, right? So that's why I'm not using that. They also use. I mean, in the book it is used as Chaitanya. So I don't know the English part of it. Maybe we can ask brother also.
Sure, brother. Fine. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, is that? Oh yeah, there's one more, please.
Brother, this question is about this part where we talk about the identities that reach the central region. Special paths are allotted to him and he begins to work with them. And he feels the wave of godly work and sets himself to do it accordingly. Right? Every order of God passes through him.
Yeah.
Um, Now, I'm trying to relate this to, we talked about this, first mind, right? Which created the universe. And when we came to the central region, we've come past it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when it is talking about every order of God passes through him, are they talking
That is
about?
a special personality they are talking actually. That means every time there is a special personality appointed, right? There is a special personality, right? So how order means again, don't think verbal. There is some vibration, less vibration. Whatever happens in the central region, you will be able to catch the nature's order. You'll be catch is the word he used. Nature's order that comes through from this region. So that is my understanding. Yeah.
See, doesn't, in the book, doesn't talk about special personality there. It's talking about, I'm reading from page 165.
Page 165. Okay. So what is the question?
Okay, so the question is, it's saying one who reaches there means the identities of liberated souls reach the central region. There it says, it talks about special powers or allotted to him and he begins to work with them. So it is everyone or it's only special personality?
People who are allocated. I mean, I think my understanding is there are special personalities and there are some people allotted to do the nature's work. They should be able to do it. They should be able to get it. Maybe some special power, right? It's a special power. You need a special power to catch the vibrations and all of that. I
Yeah,
don't think
okay.
my interpretation is that if you
Okay.
take slightly broader than special personality, there could be some other people responsible to work under the special personality for the nature. They should be able to do that.
So every order of God passes through him. That's from page 166.
Yeah, every order. Yeah, I got it. Every order of God
Okay.
passes through. He catches and reads everything in nature.
So I'm trying to just think about how does it relate to the first mind of God that we passed after the mind region, right? So there is the first mind of God which created the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So when we say here, so we working under the direction of that first mind, is that what we are talking about?
The powers in the first mind, I mean, first mind created everything. No, the creation is still on, right?
Correct.
So
Huh.
that is going on. So
Yeah.
there are other probably I think things working through my understanding is first mind could be automatic. That is the channel anyway there. But
Okay.
what he's telling is that this is a real fine work, a personality who is deputed to do the work of the nature.
Hmm.
That person also gets instructions from the nature to do certain work. Maybe that also passes through the first mind. I don't know, but then we are above the first mind.
Huh. That was I was trying to sort of
Hmm.
understand.
So, if I can add, Siddharth. So we then I see that the person is even before the first mind. So anything that comes out of it first reaches the person before reaching even first mind. That's how I see it.
Hmm.
Could be. Or it is like a simultaneous broadcast you can also hear. It's like,
Hmm.
in technology, they say you put the message on the channel, anybody can take it, right? Could
Yeah.
be like that also. I
Okay.
am not very good pertinent question. We should also ponder.
Okay.
I don't want to take my own view here.
Okay. No problem.
Okay. Yes, sister.
So, brother, when if it is beyond imagination and beyond all conception, how can we even say something about this? Are we in a position to even say anything when we can't imagine it?
No, Babuji has seen and he has written the book, sister. I mean, that is what it is. I don't know what do you mean by see. We all should go there and experience. That's all I can say.
Yeah. So I'm saying that whatever we are trying to, construe from this, the words are not really something that we can put a form to, is what I feel.
Yeah, correct,
We
correct.
cannot do
So
that. We cannot, because
form
everything
to
that we say
meaning.
is coming short of it.
So there is no words for it, right? If you put a word, that would be a limitation also. So remember that is also a difficult part to explain, no? Which is of
Yeah.
such a highest nature. Mm. So see, example, the last thing we said, he uses that fish eggs and all that, just to because that is in probably in his vision, he saw something like that. So that is the closest he could compare and explain to us. So clairvoyant vision is one thing, and probably whatever he saw explaining requires some human level comparisons. So you're right. Even if you read it, sometimes you have to reread it. There is so many. To some extent, only you can understand. I agree with you.
And the other thing I'm wondering is that, creation is still going on.
Yeah, correct.
I thought if creation is still going on, where is the end to this? In the sense that we are supposed to be going back.
No,
And
no,
if
we as an
creation,
individuals can go back, but I think that Mahapralaya will happen, right? Whenever that Mahapralaya is supposed to happen, that is when everything goes back. So that is a cycle. It keeps happening. Creation goes going back is a cycle that in nature it is happening. But
it's
we
ceaseless.
individually going back is our yatra to go back from where we come from, and we have that technique, and we also have God has given us that way to go back. That has nothing to do with the nature, no? I mean, in the sense that creation is happening.
Hmm. Okay. Thank you, brother.
Okay, let's see a few
But
more hands.
brother,
Some interesting. Mhm.
I think what Babuji has said here in those in his description, he
Uh-huh.
uses one of the words anubhava. I
Anubhava
think
Shakti,
he
yeah.
says, yeah, he says, there are certain things which are probably beyond a proper description. It has to be
Mm.
only felt. Once you feel, I think you will get that, the real feeling, or the matter which has to be taken in. But in order to give certain expression in terms of words for a common understanding as a beginning, he has used those words of the fish and eggs and things like that. But
Mm.
then the feeling, as we see in the Sahajmarg practice, knowledge is one thing, but more than knowledge is that feeling of the event or the particular position which is more important. So that's what I think is one of the important points that we see there, is that anubhava or the experience, which is probably the one which we makes each person feel in the way he can appreciate or he can digest. That's what I feel is the understanding.
But that's true, brother. But ultimately, there should be some synonyms, there should be some similes, there should be some way to explain it. That Babuji has done, of course, he's done it at his level. I mean, even at our levels, that is what we should try to, even after meditation, whatever you feel, we try to put it in words. That is also not 100% true, right? In
Yes.
a sense, complete. That experience is so complete, putting in words sometimes doesn't do justice. Something like that you can compare.
Yeah. Yeah, because he is trying to address to a large audience, which is not a homogeneous audience. But then he has to give one sort of a picture, which probably can be understood by a majority of people. And in that sense, I think he has used those descriptions of the
Yeah, could be. Yeah,
finding that he has said that. That's what I felt.
yeah, true.
Thank you.
Thank you. I see so many hands raised here.
Namaste.
Go ahead.
Namaste, sister,
Namaste.
brother.
Yeah,
Kindly
tell me,
refer page
sister.
165. In
Okay.
that he has stated the thing I called identity or the identity of liberated souls remains even then. But what we have understood is liberated soul is after crossing the heart region, or to be specific, after crossing the point 6, we get liberation. Does Babuji refer to those souls, or I think maybe
No,
realized
no,
souls?
no. Realized souls who are in central region, he's saying liberated
Uh,
souls. That's all.
because that's what I could understand even in page number 166. When the time of Mahapralaya comes, one such then in existence will work in conjunction with the liberated soul, specifically deputed.
No,
And he goes
you
on
you cross.
explaining.
No, sister, you cross the sixth or seventh point. You're saying, right? You are liberated. So you're
Yes.
just referring the souls as like that. Anyway, even in eighth point, you are called liberated. Even in 13th point, you are called liberated.
So
So
are
it's
they
just
able to go directly to 13th point? I mean, my question is that only.
from where?
Or no, actually liberation we get after crossing 6th point. So they are all liberated souls. That's what we can understand. But what Babuji is referring is, are they able to go to the 13th point, or is he referring liberated souls as realized souls?
No, no, he's not used the word liberated. So, sister, it's less just a word he's using. That's all. I mean, are they able to go? Means, I mean, if you do the yatra, anybody going for the 6, 7, 8 up to 13, if you can go to the central region. So it is like it's
We
just
can
referring the word like that.
we can conclude that liberated souls in 13th point, like that we can
Yes, yeah.
can
13
understand.
point are all liberated souls only. Obviously, correct.
Okay. Thank you.
No, what he said is liberated souls. What he means is they're all there till the Mahapralaya, right? So their identity will still be there. That is what he's trying to say. See, suppose you took this birth and in this birth you got the liberation. That identity remains with you, even if you are in the central region for.
Till Mahapralaya. Yes, that I can
Correct.
understand. Thank
The
you.
incarnation will remain, no? So you are a Buddha this birth. I mean, Buddha, that identity will remain for Buddha when he's in the central region,
Okay.
right? When he is in the central. That is the interpretation. Yes. Anybody else? One more question, I think.
Brother, this diagram 6.
Okay.
Um,
6 is what?
you said you will talk about in page 166. You said you will
That's
talk
what I
about those
showed.
specks. Those specks, what are those dots inside?
That's what is that egg-shaped thing, whatever he's telling.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Okay.
it sees like that. I mean, that's what it is.
Okay.
Uh,
Brother, I have a question.
Okay, sister.
This is regarding this 4 stages of ego. The first two, yes, it's
Okay.
kind of clear. One is the body does, and the second one is somebody else, that is a higher being, is doing. Now the third and the fourth.
What is the difference, is it?
No, that's what I mean. What drives it? Like the work is being done automatically with no idea of the doer. Now this is all happening when the person is still in the world, isn't it? In his body, his or her body.
Yeah.
So, in this third and fourth states, where third state where no idea who's the doer, but all the work gets done, the question also doesn't arise. And in the fourth state, he says sleeping state in the waking condition. So everything as per the circumstances, demand is there, work gets done. So what drives all the requirements of the worldly things and other things? What happens to all the other faculties? Like his a person's intelligence. I mean, nothing gets used, or how does it happen? I mean,
No,
it's
it
mind.
gets used. It gets used. I
Ah,
think we say that, see, you're also surrendering everything to the master in our thing, right? You're good surrendering everything. So master will take care is what I can say in a plain way. That means the faculty is taken care. You do exactly what you're supposed to do, but you don't get that
feeling.
pinch that you are doing it and all of that. So, I mean, if you probably if you uh, focus, you may understand something is happening. That's all. So, I think in our case, we can think safely that the you master who's taking you to the further journey, he's taking care of all of that.
Is it like sleepwalking?
No, nothing to do with sleepwalking. Sleep state in waking condition. Uh, that he gave that example for that mosquito.
Yeah,
Because
that
of
is.
that, he's saying sleep state in the waking condition. What is a sleep is that is you as an identity, all of the, I mean, as ego, all of that is in the sleep state, right? You're not very active. You don't have that reactions to things. All in a negative way. Whatever dualities, all that we had in the lower heart regions, all those things won't be there.
True. Okay.
So sleeping of what? Sleeping of your own creations that you have created. That is sleeping, but you're still able to live.
Kind of.
But definitely not sleepwalking, sister.
No, brother. I just asked. I mean, how that happens is a little.
How that happens is we should experience. I think
I
that's
know, I
all I
know,
can
I know,
say.
I know. Can't
Can't
imagine.
explain beyond that.
Unimaginable. Yeah, right.
Maybe
Okay,
some
okay.
examples brother can give us if is there. Yep. Sure, sister. Thank you. There's one more hand
Okay,
raised.
brother. Thank you.
Yes, brother. Namaste.
Namaste.
See, in the start of this chapter, Central Region, the very second paragraph, it reads, this kind of super consciousness is reserved for the incarnation of deity. This state
Where
is
is
sometimes the second paragraph in the Central Region
oh
as we
no,
start.
the wrong. Okay. Yeah. That
It
I
says,
interpreted as the U and L. U and L in the 13th point, which I just showed, brother.
no, just
That
beneath that, there is a
you
paragraph.
is.
One
Okay,
second,
go ahead.
There is a paragraph which reads, this kind of super consciousness is reserved for the incarnation of deity. This state is sometimes, though under very rare and exceptional circumstances, bestowed upon some special personality too, who generally comes for the change of the world. His position comes next to incarnation of deity. He practically enjoys the same position as regards the working of nature. So there are
Okay.
two entities here, or having super consciousness state, incarnation of deity and special personality.
Okay.
So special personality, we know that it is Babuji.
Okay.
And incarnation of deity, is he referring to the Vishnu avatars or something else?
I mean, whatever, he's not said anything there, but any incarnation that happens, what nature wants, at that stage, it will, I mean, that super consciousness is reserved for such deities, he says.
Yeah,
He's
the
not
other
saying
thing he
anything like Vishnu and
says,
all, nothing like that.
the other thing he says is position. The special personality position comes next to incarnation of deity. And he practically enjoys the same position as regards the working of nature.
Hmm.
So the special personality has got all the working of nature, whatever the incarnation of deity has got. That is what is clarified here.
Correct, correct, correct.
Okay.
So that you write about special personality and incarnation. He is distinguished as two things, correct?
Correct.
Yep. One more question I see. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, brother. Diagram 6, the
6, okay.
dot and there is a C, and then the circle around it. So this, from this, I understand this 7 rings of splendor is further down this ring. Is that right?
No, I think it should be in that ring only. It should be in that ring. This is the border of the central region. You enter, you see 7 rings of the splendor is what we have read, right? But it is not shown, 7 rings are not shown here, but it is just given as a boundary of the central region. Maybe that is that is what is the 7 rings of splendor also could be that light edge of the central region. It is not separately outside central region. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. So the edge of the ring is starting of the central region. Inside that there are 7 rings of splendor, and then this.
That is my understanding, brother. My understanding.
Okay. Okay. So the invisible motion is at the border of that sea. Is that right?
Border means around that sea.
Latent motion.
Yeah, it is around that sea. Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
See, the dot is the center. See, it's just a dot he could have left. I mean, in the picture, they're also written a letter C around the dot. Okay, just to notify that it is the center. Otherwise, that is the center, and around that is a latent motion. The tiny dot is the center, as per this picture. You are right. Whatever I pasted here. Okay. Okay, I'll kind of stop the share at least. We can now open it for brother. I'm sure there are more questions we can also hear.
Very interesting conversation. I've just been listening when doing something.
So you can correct me, brother, wherever questions came in.
So whatever the last answer that you gave is correct. The dot around the sea and the dot, that is the center. So between the outer ring that you're seeing in the page 6, the diagram 6, and the sea, you have the 7 rings. Between those two, between sea and the outer ring, that is the 7 rings. Now, in terms of the previous question, R.N. Murthy, avatars and the special personality, they are of the same, equal in the sense that they both come for initiating changes in nature. So their function is both the same. However, the avatars come from a Mahamaya region. You remember that? We had read about it. When we were reading out avatars, they come from the Mahamaya region between the 11th and 13th.
Correct.
They don't come from the central region. And if you actually read further 19, obviously, some of these things that you read only, you get a partial picture. So you are trying to make sense from a partial picture that you get from this book. Obviously, as you read more and more in terms of the depth of the background history of Lalaji and Babaji, they both come from near the center. So they are placed very close to the center. And in terms of where near the center, that's the question that people were earlier talking about. The special personality will go and exist at the level of the latent motion. So they cross the show Beyond the Kshob, they go there, and then since they exist near the center, they absorb the essence of the center by staying in the latent motion. They get the impulses directly from the center. This is how they get it. So the all other liberated souls are kind of traversing through the central region. And again, liberated souls here, as brother clarified earlier on, sometimes it is used in the context of people who have crossed the sixth point. But majority of the times when Babaji uses the liberated souls in the context of central region, they are the people who have actually self-realized and they are swimming in the central region, and then gradually as they cross the seven rings of splendor, they cross the Kshob also, they end up in the latent motion. So the soul which is in the latent motion, or the identity which is in the latent motion, they are the closest to the center. The soul or the identity which is the closest to the center, they are the special personality. They receive the impulses directly from the center and then pass it down to the other liberated souls who are also there for the upkeep of the nature. In other words, all special powers are conferred on those identities which have crossed the Kshob and gone back to the latent motion. Okay, now if they are still in the central region, they might not get all the special powers. If you look at powers, from first point itself up to the center, you can get powers. That is not what we are talking about here. We are talking about fundamentally changing the working of nature. In other context, Babaji talks about who gives power to the functionaries of nature. It's we who give the power, that he says. Then he says, when we say we, it's not ordinary human beings. When he says we, the people who are there in the central region in the latent motion, they derive the power directly from there, the special powers which are reserved by the divine. And then they actually mend the working of the powers of the nature. Now this comes to the next issue. Is the power working of the power of the nature automatic? The answer is yes. The working of the power of nature is automatic. Now you remember the Kshob? From the Kshob, you have two strands. We read about it, like a tuning fork. One is the human path, other one is the divine path. You remember that? We had spoken about it in Sahaj Marg philosophy. Now, what is supposed to happen is, whatever is going through the nature from the Kshob, it goes directly through the divine path. Ordinarily, it is not supposed to be modified. Suppose all the souls who are created, they do not actually modify the nature at all. Whatever is flowing in the divine, the humans are also in alignment with the divine, then there is no change in the divine. Now that is the yuga, what is called as Satya Yuga. In the Satya Yuga, all the humans who are born are in alignment with the divine path. So there is hardly anything for anybody to do. So there is no need for any avatars also there. Okay. Now, in terms of avatars, there are only two avatars that Babaji talks about: Rama avatar and Krishna avatar. Rama avatar comes from the periphery of the Mahamaya region, which is around 11th point, and Krishna avatar comes from the inner portion of the Mahamaya region, which is around the 13th point, just outside the 13th point. So both Babuji and Krishna came for the purpose of changing the working of nature. Because what happened to the working of nature? For example, you just take a practical example. What happened during the COVID time? Now, prior to the COVID time, we humans were polluting the environment left, right, center. I'm just giving you a very gross example. We were polluting the environment left, right, center. Now, when something happened, we all stopped doing what we were doing. Now, what happened to nature? The nature got mended to some extent. Okay. Now, what was happening before to nature? We as human beings were actually interfering with the working of the nature. But that actually got changed. So what happens when Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata? You remember that shloka from Bhagavad Gita? Whenever the righteousness goes down in nature, why does it go down? Because of the activities of the humans. Because of the activities of the things which are created. When it goes down, there is a need for the avatars to come and set it right. So this is a cycle that keeps going on. So we humans go on kind of changing the workings of the nature, and then the nature brings about a special personality or an avatar to set it right back to its original condition. It's like you can say that the nature is trying to service itself by getting the avatar or the special personality. So it goes back to an optimal level of functioning. So they go back. Now the special personality will be there till the end of this yuga. Now you might probably be surprised by that. Till the end of this yuga, special personality is there. Now Babaji writes in the 44 Whispers that he's already set everything in motion till Mahapralaya. He's already deputed the work to everyone who are supposed to do what during the course of Mahapralaya. Till that level, the work is already done. It's designated. Okay. Now, there could be some changes in the work by a few years here and there, because if you look at it from the context of the ultimate, there is one story in Bhagavata Purana where somebody goes to Brahmaloka, meets Brahma for 1 or 2 minutes, and then Brahma says, "You go back to your Loka." He has to come back to Earth. By the time he comes back here, billions of years have passed. He cannot even recognize which place he was born, whatever he is, none of them are there. So time is different in different context. So that's something that we need to remember. So every time, whatever impulses come from the center, this special personality receives it, and accordingly they work in keeping the divine path clear. Now we humans corrupt the divine path because of our ability to create. The same Kshob which is there is also there in us as mind. So we use the same creative power of the Kshob to create our own creation. And then our own creation goes on acting on the nature. So it pollutes the nature. When it pollutes the nature, it becomes necessary to bring about an avatar or a special personality to correct it, to bring the nature's working back in order. This is the sequence in which it occurs. Now, obviously, many liberated souls are passing through the central region in different stages. In fact, Babaji says the first Rishi who entered into the infinite ocean. Now, where is the infinite ocean? The infinite ocean is nothing but the latent motion around the center, beyond the Cho. That is the infinite motion. In that infinite ocean, the first Rishi who entered, obviously, that first Rishi entered after they had shed the body and they have gone through the process of nature taking them back automatically. Because once you come into the sixth point, the journey from the sixth point up to the center is automatic. It is taken care of by nature only. We read about it. What is the importance of human life and liberation? We spoke about it. From an amoeba up to human life is automatic. Human life, you have the choice whether you want to go up or you want to stay here or you want to go down. Now, if we choose to go up from the stage of liberation, which is the sixth point, up to the center, again it is automatic. So, suppose somebody leaves the body when they are in seventh point. They go to the realm of the seventh point. From there, the journey is automatic. Suppose somebody is at 10th point. They go to the realm of the 10th point and then the journey is automatic. However, this is for the disembodied souls. So, people who have shed their body. What about people in Sahaj Marg? Because this is a unique situation. Because for the first time, Lalaji and Babuji have invented a method where you can go there while you are still living here. Now, when you are still living here, you can still go there. Now, there is this one question about how can they actually do the work here while actually being there also. This was one of the questions that somebody asked. That's a very interesting proposition. If you read the 1944 Whispers, suddenly Vivekananda exclaims to Babaji. He is, what do you say, very surprised because he sees Babaji here also on earth. He sees Babaji there also in the brighter world. He exclaims, "Lo, you are there also, you are here also." Now, this is the soul replication that occurs at the ninth point. At the ninth point, when the soul replication occurs, that part of the soul will get energy from the practice that you are doing here on earth. And it continues to journey from the ninth point onwards up to the center. Now, when this person leaves the body here, this entity, the soul, which is the replica of that soul, goes back and merges into the spiritual entity which has traveled now to the center. This is what happens. This is how the liberated peoples, when I say liberated peoples, I'm talking about people who are beyond the ninth point, who have got their soul replication done by their masters. This is again invention by Lalaji. It was not there before. It is an invention by Lalaji that you can replicate the soul, allow one copy to function here, while the other copy becomes the spiritual entity in the brighter world and it continues the journey. Whatever practice we do here, it helps in the progression of the spiritual entity in the brighter world up to the center. That is what happens. At the time of death or the shedding of the body, this entity from here on earth goes and merges with that entity which is in the brighter world. Whichever part of the brighter world it is at, it goes and merges there. This is how a person who is still in the center can still function here. Okay, I'll stop here. Any clarifications you want to seek with whatever things I told you, you can ask now. Or any other question you can ask. Now, there is one last question which I heard about awareness. What brother said about mother tincture as consciousness, as the origin of the consciousness is correct. However, where does consciousness come from? Consciousness comes outside the central region. Then the question comes, what is there in the central region? There are only two things. At the periphery of the central region, there is awareness and gross identity. When we enter into the central region, we have got our identity back. Now, what kind of identity? The pure identity, which has only awareness. And what is that identity? You remember, again, we have to go back to Sahil Mark philosophy. That identity is nothing but Akasha. The center is Akasha. The absolute is Akasha, we read. So remember these two words. Absolute is Akasha. The identity is Akasha. So there is no difference between the two. What happens is when the identity is formed from the Akasha, it comes down the central region. And we have spoken about it as it comes down the central region. Originally, when the identity is formed from the absolute, it is pure and it doesn't have any covering. It's almost like the center only. It is beyond the Kshor. As it comes down the Kshor, because of the heat of the power that is generated in the Kshor, the identity, which is also Akasha, starts developing finer coverings. And we read about it, the separation, anxiety, and the desire. You remember that, the sad. So as the fine identity, which is there near the Kshobh, comes down, it develops these three coverings, the separation, anxiety, and desires. That is why that fine identity, which is near the center, as it comes down the central region, becomes the gross identity. Now, when the fine identity was there near the center, it did not need the necessity of awareness at all. However, as it comes down the central region, since now it has got the idea of separateness, it has to have awareness. At that level, you don't require awareness. You just look at it. A newborn baby, what awareness has it got? A newborn baby is taken care of by the mother or anybody who is there. Right? Everybody, nowadays, I was just telling today morning that previously used to have a lot of children and few adults to take care. So nobody used to bother know where the children were. Nowadays, you have one or two babies and you have 10 adults looking after them. Everyone is looking at the baby. Right? So, if so many people are looking at the baby, where is the question for need for awareness of the baby? There is no awareness in the baby. There is no need for also. Right? As it comes down, see, awareness is necessary only when the idea of separation sets in. Before the idea of separation, there is no need for awareness only. So in the center, there is no awareness. You have a fine identity which is almost akin to Akasha. Okay. Now, those identities which are almost akin to Akasha, which are there in the infinite ocean, when the Mahapralaya comes, they merge back into Akasha. They don't come back. There's another discussion we were reading just yesterday. Some of them asked the question, do these identities which are there near the center, do they become the gods in the next creation? That's the question asked. And Lalaji says, no, they don't come down as gods. Hope it is clear. So when you enter into the central region, you have gross identity and awareness. Now, why you do have awareness? Because you have the idea of separation. Okay. Now, as you go in the central region, as you cross the 7 rings of splendor, you lose those 3 coverings. Since you have lost all the coverings and you now cross the Kshobh, there is no need for any awareness. You enter into a state of unawareness. Does it make sense? Then at that level, now there are many souls which might come there while living here, or there are other souls which are still coming back while they are actually undergoing the automatic journey by nature. Both are occurring simultaneously. So it's not like a one-way street. Some souls are coming down, some souls are going back up again. So it's simultaneously occurring. Then you might question, they might dash against one another. You don't need to worry about that. There will be no dashing inside. There is so much space, no dash inside. So some souls will be coming down, some souls will be going up. It's a very dynamic journey. Okay. So those souls which go up in the infinite ocean, if they are proceeding automatically by nature, that is a very slow journey. Okay, it takes years, millions of years to go through that. But if you are proceeding with the help of the Guru's power, you can cross there pretty fast. It doesn't take much time. Okay. Now, another interesting I'll tell you, we'll discuss it some other time. I asked this question to yesterday preceptors. Lalaji says, now you had enough absorption of the center. I cannot allow you to let you stay there. I will pull you down back. And then Lalaji says, if I don't pull you down back, you will not be of no use for my work. I want you to get some work from me. That's why I made you go all the way up. But if you are there in the center, you cannot do any work. What's the point of it then? I would want you to come down and then start doing my work. In other words, anybody who is at the center cannot do the work. They cannot do the work. They will have to come down. But the only difference is they can go up and down at will. They have no restrictions. Unlike others who actually struggle and they require the help of others, once you have traversed the path, you can come and go at will. Anytime you want to come down, you can come down to a particular point, do the work, and then go back up. That's how you end up working. And there is one point below which you cannot come, and that's the homework I have given them. What is the point below which a person who goes to the center cannot come down to? There is a particular point. They can only come down to some level, but beyond that they cannot. And there is an answer. You know the answer. I had asked you about this question once, and you had answered. It says mind region, ninth point, not 9 point, something else. Mind region is a very broad answer. So now think
Sixth
about it.
point.
I'm not looking at a region. I'm looking at a point.
Sixth point.
And now you have to qualify. Why is the 6th point? 6th point is the correct answer. But why?
Yeah. Because below that, then they will not be liberated.
They will be in duality. No.
I mean,
Once you lose, you go to the 6th point. Of course, obviously, you have not read the Towards Infinity. When you read the Towards Infinity chapter, just read the exact word so that you can just put it in your mind. You don't forget it. In Kannada, we use the word Padartha Bhava. Padartha Bhava is a materialistic thing. That is the Padartha Bhava. I'm just using the same word here. The effect of the matter thins away considerably. Once a person goes out of the effect of the matter, they cannot come back under the influence of the effect of the matter again. It's not possible. Okay, that is mentioned in the 6th knot. I think a more accurate description is not this. English description is not actually correct, although it might make you feel that you can relate to it. Kannada description is very accurate. Kannada says Padartha Bhava. Padartha Bhava is materiality. Okay. Once you go to the center, you cannot get entangled in Maya again. That's why Babaji says once you are in the center, there is no question of any downfall from the center. Till that time, till you go to the infinite ocean, there is a possibility of fall. But once you go to the infinite ocean and align with the center, there is no question of any fall. Now, obviously, if they are coming down by choice. And then by choice, they will go up. But beyond the 6th point, they cannot come down. That's why when Babaji used to be here in body, he used to tell all the preceptors during his time that prepare all the abhyasis before you send them to Shahjahanpur. I cannot work on them. It just drains my energy if I work on those people who are in the Pinda Pradesh. It just drains my energy. So he used to always insist that prepare them and then only send to Shahjahanpur. And then when Babuji used to give transmission, you can read of the people who were there staying with Babuji and then he used to receive transmission from Babuji. Most of the people would report back to Babuji that we didn't feel anything. We don't know what happened. They could not feel anything. Because the transmission was so subtle from the Brahmanda Mandal. Of course, it was highly effective, but it was so subtle that nobody could feel anything. All that they'll say is, we couldn't feel anything, or they'll say, we felt just peaceful, we felt calm. That's all. These three words they'll say. Beyond that, they will not know what happened. But work would have occurred. That's the beauty of it. The higher you go, don't think the transmission is uniform across from first point to the center. No. Transmission becomes finer and finer, more and more powerful as you go higher and higher. It's also one of the reasons I keep saying that who you take sittings from matters. All these things actually matter. Everything is a component of our journey. So it does matter. The power that we use is from master only. All of us use the power from the master. How much have you honed the power? How much have you yourself progressed? And how have you actually learned to utilize that power? All these things will vary from each person to person. Okay. So these are all things that you can ponder about after you come back, after your exams. But whatever we discuss now should be sufficient for you in terms of, you remember in the Brighter World's messages, Whispers from the Brighter World, there are some messages you receive from spiritual entity of Chariji, spiritual entity of other people. You receive that. Now you know that they exist here also, they exist there also. For the first time, because everyone thought a soul is indivisible. For the first time, Lalaji showed soul is divisible, it is a compound, and you can actually utilize that for the purpose of your journey towards the center. So this again, first time invention by Lalaji. So I'll stop here, ponder about whatever I told you. Any questions you can ask. Sister Nirmala.
Yeah, brother. So we have these AB points, right? But and the subpoints, but specifically they're only at certain points, like 1, 6, 10, and 13. That, the upper and lower, left and right. So why is it specifically only at those points and not at other points in the journey?
Subconsciousness is there in every point. Superconsciousness also is there at every point. It is just that it is manifested more at those points. That's all.
Okay.
So don't think that they only exist at those points. It is wherever there is consciousness, there is subconsciousness also, superconsciousness also. They go hand in hand across all the points. It is just that they are more clearly felt and they can be more clearly utilized for our journey at those points. That's what it is.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So wherever there is consciousness, there is always going to be subconsciousness and superconsciousness. That is always the case. Okay.
Thank you.
Madhuri?
Yeah, actually, from the first chapters, once you ask the question, what is the difference between Raj Yoga and Sahaj Marg? So, in this life, that is the difference. There are core practices beyond Sahasradal Kamal, Guru led path, even Gruhastas, transmission. What else is the difference between Raj Yoga and Sahaj Marg? If I have not
You directly work on consciousness.
Oh.
See, you work directly on consciousness. From day one, when we give the sittings, what are we cleaning? When we clean the heart, what are we doing? We are cleaning the consciousness only. The samskaras which are there in the consciousness, that is what we are cleaning. In fact, we were just talking about it. I don't know whether I mentioned here last time. There was this mention about that person who is a devotee of Tulsidas. You remember? Remember that? He started thinking that he's communicating with Tulsidas soul.
Yeah.
Get into trouble. He finds and then he is pestered and he has no peace of mind.
Yeah.
He comes to Babuji and Babuji says it took 2 years to mend his mind.
Yeah.
fact, if you look at it from psychiatry perspective, that fellow had developed psychosis.
Oh,
So Babuji gave him sittings and made him cure of psychosis. Now, people think when we talk about it, how can you use the spiritual power for mental illness? Babuji has already used it and shown. That fellow was coming to Babuji only for his sittings. In other words, we can utilize this power to mend the mind in any state of its existence, to mend the mind. Again, one other thing that you can pick up from Lalaji's book in terms of the Raja Yoga that you spoke about is the speciality is that again, three things. One is that in Sahajman we start from the Shama of the Shat Sampattis, of the Sadhana Chatustaya. You remember that. So we actually don't work on Viveka Vairagya and waste time there. We directly start with Shama and Viveka Vairagya automatically comes. So that also saves time. The second thing that saves time is we work directly on the meditation, not on the first 6 aspects of the Ashtanga Yoga. We work directly on the 7th point, and from there we go directly to Samadhi. Then, when we actually sit and meditate, we start with the attention, bring your attention on the heart, observe and feel. That is what we say as an instruction. Now, you start with attention, from there you go to awareness, from awareness you go to existence, from existence you go beyond existence, non-existence. That's the easiest path, only 3 steps. You start with awareness, start with attention, heart. From there, as and when the sitting proceeds, you go into awareness. Wherever the work is occurring, you become aware of what work is occurring, wherever it might be. It could be at any point. You gradually go into awareness. You start your attention on the heart, but you drift with awareness to the place where the work is occurring. From attention, you go to awareness. Then what happens? From awareness, you go into existence. Existence is your true identity when you enter into the central region. Okay. Now, from the true identity, you go into the center, which is beyond existence and non-existence. That's all. Only 3 steps. So very fast. Last point is, if you read from Raja Yoga, now, of the 3 gunas, there are 3 gunas, no? What are the 3 gunas?
Tattva, Rajas, Tamas.
You know that. Which one is associated with activity?
Rajas.
Rajas. Raja Yoga is called as Raja Yoga because it is led by Rajas. Why am I talking about Rajas? Because in Raja Yoga, there is movement and expansion. There is knowledge. Everything is nothing but related to Rajas only. So we use Rajas to cross over into the Sat, and then from the Sat, we cross over beyond the Sat. Now, without that movement, now we say that we move from first point to second point. Now, if there is no Rajas, where is the question of movement? There is no. Okay. It is only in the Raj there is movement. In Sat also there is no movement. In the Tamas also there is no movement. It's only in the Raj that we use the movement. So we utilize the Rajasic aspect. And the Rajasic aspect is the mind. The mind. There is no activity in the soul also. There is no activity in the body also. Only activity which is possible is the mind. When the mind is active, body is active. If the mind itself is inactive, there is no question of body being active. So for a person who is unconscious, there is no question of any activity of the body. The body is just laying still there. For a person who is asleep, there is no question of any activity of the body. It's just lying still there. In fact, at least in sleep, there is some degree of awareness. You might change your position. But for a person who is unconscious and in coma, where is the question of even movement? Whatever position you keep them in, they'll just be in that position because the body by itself is inert. Body is tamassu. Mind is rajasu. Soul is sattva. We use the mind in Raja Yoga, which is a Rajasic aspect of our existence, to go beyond the sattva to enter into the center. Without that movement, now we were talking about earlier on swimming in the infinite ocean. When you say swimming in the infinite ocean, don't you think that there is an activity? There is an activity there, no? You are moving. Wherever there is activity, it is related to Rajas. So Raja Yoga, although we say one component is it is the king of yogas because it works on the mind. Now when we say mind, it actually works on the Rajasika aspect of our existence. From there, we go to the Tama state of our existence. not the tamasu, tama state, tam state.
So we crossed consciousness, potentiality, reach its center also. In the last slide, brother has mentioned, still there is a wonder. Consciousness gone, potentiality gone. Again, wonder means consciousness there, na?
That's why I said there are two entities. You remember, you should not forget that.
Okay.
Don't forget that there are two entities.
Line of divinity, line
Babuji
of
has written it in the context of the two entities. Now, if you take the disembodied souls who are automatically progressing towards the center, they will not have any sense of wonder because they cannot have. But when a person moves towards the center, in the context of the soul replication, they will have awareness here with the entity here. So it's like that entity doesn't have any awareness, but this entity can communicate with that and pick up things from there and express it through this entity at the lower level. That's how it works. That is why Babuji and Lalaji have been able to, for the first time, describe what is there. Nobody has been able to describe as clearly and accurately as we have got now. Everyone was wondering, everyone has desires, so nobody knows why we are all having desires. Right? Everyone has this idea of separation. Nobody is wondering where this idea of separation comes about. It's only now we have all this clarity that where exactly all these things happen and how it is projected onto the Pinda Pradesh. We project that in the Pinda Pradesh on the outside, but the journey that is supposed to happen is inside. But we project it on the outside and we try to make that journey inside by doing the journey outside. And we are always meeting with failure. So this entity here, that entity there are in communication with one another. That is how it has made it possible for Babuji to be able to give you the description that he has given. Otherwise, it is not possible, as you people are thinking. Okay?
Okay, thank you, brother.
Anand brother.
I guess I was asking this question to Desima brother also. I'm not even sure if I'm framing the question right. See, there's this thing saying the waves of godly work or passed through this special person, right? He
Correct.
catches and reads everything in nature and does nature's work. Okay.
Correct.
Now, so we also talked about the first mind, right?
Correct.
Which created everything, right? Created the universe.
Correct.
So this godly work, is that coming through the first mind or is it just coming directly from the center?
See,
I don't know. I don't even know if the question is correct actually.
your question is correct. The first mind creates creation automatically. Okay, that is an automatic process. There is no interference whatsoever. Now you can say, what is the question? What is the basis for the creation of the first mind? The basis for the creation of the first mind is the seed of the samskaras which are taken in at the time of Mahapralaya. All the entities which are there in this life, in the current creation, at the time of Mahapralaya, every entity goes back, identity goes back to the center, near the center. Now, it doesn't mean to say that you lose all the samskaras. Okay? What happens is all the samskaras are taken back to the near the center in the latent motion, and we all come into together to form one common identity. This is what happens at the time of Mahapralaya. Now, those liberated souls which are already in tune with Akasha and they do not have any seed of samskaras, they merge back into the center. They don't have anything to do with the next creation. Those entities, we have not worked out the samskaras, they are still there, the seed is there. The effect of those samskaras are still there. Now they come together to form some common identity. Whatever is the amalgamation of the samskaras of the common identity, that becomes the basis for the next creation. Say, for example, there are some samskaras that some of us carry. which cannot be undergone bhoga of in this creation. Okay? See, human mind is wild. It can think of anything. So it's quite possible that in the scheme of the things that the creation is as of now, a particular type of samskaras cannot be undergone the bhoga of this in this life. And that the soul has not actually been any spiritual path. But the effect of that it will take back. So what would then happen is the next creation will be in tune to help that soul to undergo the bhoga of it. So every time there is a Mahapralaya and a creation next time, it will always be different. It will not be the same. Okay? Each time there is a Mahapralaya, the creation will be different. Now, how will that creation be? What is the basis of that creation? The basis of the creation is the summation of all the samskaras that have been taken in the seed form when they form the common identity. That is a summation. Okay. Now, depending on, for example, just take a very simple example, cricket match. Suppose when the Indian cricket team goes to Australia, there most of the pitches are bouncy. Now, you would want to play more fast bowlers. Indian cricket team is playing in India. All the pitches are spinny in nature. It spins a lot. So you want to change the composition. Likewise, depending on the need of the hour, the creation changes. Okay. So one question which does not get answered in this particular context, which has not been elaborated in our system elsewhere, if I come across, I'll definitely let you know. How did the first creation came about? Now, these all things can actually explain the creation and the dissolution, creation, dissolution. This can be explained. But what happened the first time around? That is kind of explained in full detail anywhere. If I were to come across that explanation, definitely I will tell you. So the identities, the individual identities merge back in the center in the latent motion as common identity. The samskaras which are there in the common identity, that becomes the basis for the next creation, which could be different from what you have got now. There is this one interesting story about Kaka Bhushundi in Yoga Vasishta. If your people are interested, we can go through that when we meet in the next two sessions because we have some time. When the next session, because we can finish it by Friday. So we will have some time. So I can just read that particular story. Because Kaka Bhushundi is someone who is beyond these creation dissolution. He always exists and he has seen n number of creation, n number of dissolutions. And then Vasishta asks him, how do you actually exist when this creation dissolution is taking place? And Kaka Bhushundi explains what happens, where does he go, what happens, all these things. So that's a very interesting thing. So we'll read that in the next time. Okay. So in other words, the answer to your question is the first mind creation is automatic because it's based on the samskaras, the sum total of the samskaras in the common identity. But it's almost like you can say automatic car and then overriding power. You have an autopilot and a manual thing, no, in a flight. Likewise, in the cars also you have two modes. You can do it manually also, you can also have automatic. So generally, God's creation entire is automatic from the first mind based on the samskaras of the common identity. But as and when this creation takes place, simultaneously the human line is also getting formed and the human line and the God's line get interact on one another. They impact one another. Over a period of time, when the human line interacts or impacts the God line too much, and it's actually taking away the fundamental laws which has been set in motion by the first mind, then the need for the avatars or the special personality to intervene will come in. So they will intervene and try to set the working of the machinery of nature right. This is what they do. So they are like beyond the work of the nature. They are above nature. They have control over nature. Unlike all the demigods which come down the line as part of the creation, they are functionaries of nature. They don't have freedom. But only the human who has crossed beyond the Kshob and is there in the infinite ocean can catch the impulses directly from the center. They have power to change the workings of the powers of nature. In other words, they have the manual switch. They can change it when necessary from automatic mode to manual mode and intervene. Once they intervene and certain things are set right, they put it back in the autopilot mode. That is what happens. They keep changing. Okay.
Thank you,
I
brother.
hope it answers your question.
Yes, brother. Thank you.
Okay. Nirmala?
So, brother, as we go along this path, this journey that we are taking, in order for us to reach the threshold where we let go and we go from that one point to the other, right? Like, do we have to experience the depths of sorrow uh, to such an extent, and only then we are able to go to the experience the other extremity and then go beyond that, beyond both? Like, do we have to like experience sorrow to such an extent that we are able to let go? Is that something that has to happen?
Why do you want to experience the sorrow to that extent? That's like
I
saying,
don't want
I can only get highest marks in my exam after I have failed miserably. Why should you do that?
Does it depend on like different souls have a different threshold? The
Correct.
what I'm
But whatever you are telling is not an absolute necessity. That's all I'm
okay.
trying to say. Your
Okay.
argument is like, if I
Hmm.
want to get the highest marks, I would have should have failed miserably. Then only I can get the highest marks. That is an invalid argument. So forget about it. It's not valid. But of course, different souls have different ways of evolving. But you don't need to go to the despair of the depth of the sorrow in order to reach the highest. There is no need for that. Of course, you will have intense longing, intense pain. In fact, one of the things that happens with every chakra as you unfold the chakras and they blossom into lotuses is that one consequence of that blossoming of the lotus is that you will feel intense craving to go towards the center. With every chakra that comes into maturity, the craving to go to the center increases. This is what happens. Okay. Now that craving, if you want to call that craving as a sorrow or a pain, you can call that. But sorrow not in the way that we normally think of. You don't need to have that despair of sorrow or depths of sorrow in order to reach the highest. Not necessarily. In fact, as you go higher and higher, you become more lively in life. You become very happy. And wherever you go, you take positivity. Where is the question of negativity? The soul is by nature positive. There is no negativity in soul at all. So where is the question of that? Of course, the soul can have that intense desire to go to the center. That can manifest. That is the pain and restlessness that Babaji talks about at the 11th point. At the 11th point, the what you say, the goal is in sight, but you are not able to go there. So you feel intense pain and restlessness. Okay. And one other point that I was just wanting to highlight is what happens when you reach the center? We had spoken about it once. What is supposed to happen? You go to the center and you observe the essence of the center. What is supposed to happen then? Three things will happen at the center. Okay. First thing is that you will have the vision of the absolute. Now that is the darshana. When we go to temples, no, we say that darshana ayata. We keep asking, no, that is the real darshana. Darshana of the reality is the real darshana. Our darshana in the temples has come from that. Okay. So vision of the absolute. Second thing is you now start catching hold of the real knowledge which is flowing from the absolute. The real knowledge which is untainted by anything in creation. Because you are beyond creation now. Once you cross the shore and go to the latent motion or the infinite ocean, you are beyond creation. So you catch the real knowledge directly from the source. There is no adulteration whatsoever. And the third thing that happens is that your system becomes entirely divinized. You might see the form in front of you. However, the system is totally divinized. Every particle is divinized. Now, this is a sequence that Babuji, that Daji also is given in the spiritual anatomy. We know the equation to convert mass to energy. But scientists have not found the equation to convert energy into absolute. That is the realm of the spiritual people. So the energy, it gets converted to the absolute. That is what happens. So when Babuji says, with the vision of the absolute, entire system, the human being, man becomes divinized totally. He calls it as divinization of man. What is divinization of man? Every particle in existence in that human being, in that person, becomes thoroughly divinized. Now, once it becomes divinized, it is no longer capable of taking any impression whatsoever from anything. It cannot take any impressions. Since it cannot take any impressions, it cannot fall down. It's not possible. That's why we say from the center, there is no question of any downfall. Why? Because of the divinization of the entire human being, that divinized particles cannot take any impressions. Okay, so these are the three things that happens. Remember this. These are there in the 4th, 5th, and 6th volumes of complete works. Now 7th volume is also coming. So you have enough to read for the next 2 years, even after all these sessions are over. If you really want to go to the depth of it, it's a wonderful science, I'll tell you. And particles, I tell you, no, there are gross particles, there is subtle particle, there is causal particle, there is divine particle, there is real particle, there are so many things. That itself is a science that our science has not even started exploring. We have now started. Now, if you want to look at the energy getting converted into absolute, no, we talk about observer and witness, right? The double slit experiment and all. You remember that you had given that one of the Bandara messages few years back. Now, if you want to learn about that, no, please read or look at a video on the Nobel Prize given for this year, 2025, for physics. It's on quantum physics. And you will actually find some similarities that you can actually relate to from that paper to what we do in meditation. You will be able to relate some of the points. What is supposed to happen in meditation. Okay. Anyway, we'll stop there. Srikanth, you want to ask something?
Yes, for the same question, which had not a question. In fact, the scenario, the attitude those sisters from Rajasthan had, which Daji spoke about. In one sitting, they could attain very high spiritual states. So I had requested you to throw light, because that's something which we can all emulate and benefit from.
Very simple thing is the attitude should be that we are tending towards innocence. If we can develop that kind of an attitude, tending towards innocence. Now, there is a big difference between ignorance and innocence. And many times when we say that we have to tend towards innocence, we think that we have to not look at any information, not learn any information. I'll just give you a very simple clue how you can be knowledgeable but yet be innocent. When you don't carry the knowledge as a burden and you kind of just keep it by the side and only tap into it when necessary, then you enter into the state of innocence, even though you might be knowledgeable. Okay, that's how you actually get into it. You should not hold on to the knowledge also. That's why as we go towards the central region, we have to let go of the knowledge also. We have to let go of the conditions that we get also. Now, those are the spiritual samskaras that we form. With every condition or every chakra that we pass through many different conditions. When we get to conditions, we actually have knowledge of those conditions. And then many times in our anxiety, whether we are going to able to remember or not, we also try to hoard those conditions, remember those conditions repeatedly. So you should not have that attitude also. Just like driving or swimming, the moment you are actually exposed to this environment, automatically it will come back. It will be with you all the time. But you should not carry as a burden. How many times we go on remembering about the skill of driving or swimming every day? We don't remember at all. 10 years, 20 years, you might not have driven, but the moment you are given the vehicle to drive, you will automatically drive. You may take a few minutes to kind of warm up, but you will drive. Same thing with swimming. Once it is there, it is there. Likewise, once you have got the knowledge, you cannot go back to ignorance. Then what to do with the knowledge? Put it aside and keep it aside to tap into when necessary. That's all. So, for example, there is this example, a famous example from Einstein. A PhD student comes to Einstein and asks him some question. I want to know about this, please explain. Einstein says, this particular thing is there in that particular book, go and look at that particular book. Then this PhD student says, I thought you are a great scientist. You would explain to me, why should I go and read in that particular book? He says, there is no need to carry the burden of the knowledge all the time. When you know where it is to be found, that is enough. If you want beyond that, we can explain. But why unnecessarily to carry the burden of the knowledge? So over a period of time, although you have read all these things, you have kind of discussed all these things, you over a period of time, as you experience, you will start keeping it aside. Because the experiential knowledge will give more clarity to you than all the concepts that you have heard today. This is one of the things that Nemesis was talking about. How can we talk about it? We can talk about it because we are supposed to learn all these things. Now, obviously, there is no need to talk about it once you experience it. Because by experience, you will answer. Till it becomes experiential knowledge, you require it. Once it becomes experiential knowledge, why do you want to require it? You will keep it aside. Okay? No problem. So the attitude is gradually tending towards innocence. And there should be very clear clarity between ignorance and innocence. A child is innocent because of ignorance. They have not learned the knowledge. Since they are ignorant, they are innocent because of ignorance, they cannot get liberation. Otherwise, all of us should have liberation by now. Right? All of us have passed through innocent phase, no? But none of us have got liberation. A spiritual person is innocent because they have got the knowledge and they have put the knowledge aside. That's why they become innocent. Now, if somebody were to ask a question, they can tap into that knowledge and answer, which a child cannot answer. That's the difference. Okay? Piyush?
Brother, this I think I've heard this before, but I'm not remembering. We have this so the center location is behind the head, wherever it is, the 13th point.
Correct.
And so that's the source basically, right? Then
that's the source, yeah.
When we say center. But in our prayer, in our sankalp, we say that the source of divine light present within the heart. So, can you elaborate on how do we connect?
Heart extends from the first point up to the center. It extends when we say heart, no? The meaning of the word heart goes on changing till you realize heart is inclusive of the center and the entire creation from the center. Everything is included as heart. See, when we say you go on talking, then you say the heart of the matter is. Right? You come to the center point, the heart of the matter. Likewise, when you say that there is a source of divine light in the heart, in my heart, initially we relate the heart to the chest region. Sometimes we relate the heart to the physical heart. So we can start off with any of our understanding. But as you progress, you cross the heart region also. You then think that the mind region also is part of the heart only. Then the central region is also part of the heart only. And the center is also part of the heart only. That's what you will say. So the word heart, the meaning of that keeps on changing as you progress. Just remember that. Although the word heart is used, the meaning of that keeps on changing. There are multiple meanings for that heart. So there is a physical heart, there is a second physical heart in the calf muscles, there is a spiritual heart, there is a, the heart region, then you have the heart circle, then you have the heart as inclusive of the center also. Everything is heart only in that way. So when you use the word heart, you need to be very clear in what meaning are you use the word heart. Like liberated souls. You remember liberated souls today? Normally, liberated souls we say sixth point. But in the context that Babuji is writing, he's talking about the liberated souls which have reached the central region, which means which have crossed self-realization. That is what he's talking about. So, see, problem with spirituality is that we have paucity of words. There is a shortage of words. So, many times they use the same word with different meanings in each context. So, we need to gradually understand and decipher those correct meanings before we catch the essence of it. Okay?
So, but that creates a problem when you are
Why
saying now, after
why
this
should it create a
discussion,
problem?
no, after this discussion, so when you say heart, expands from, everything is heart. And
Everything is
then
included in the heart only.
when after that, when I say that then a source of divine light, and where do you pay that attention? Then it is at the physical heart.
You start here only because that is what you are as of now aware of. See, until unless our understanding changes, we hold on to what we know. That's all.
Okay.
So never imagine. We hold on to what we know. You start from the known to go to the unknown. That is the formula. Start with the known to go to the unknown. As we expand in our understanding and in our subtlety, then we start realizing, this is also part of the heart only. In fact, to just give you another perspective of that, the journey towards the center can also be had. One is the points that we talk about. Every condition of the center, up to the center, including the center, is there in the first point only, at different depths. So suppose you don't want to go to any point, you just go on working on the first point only. You go deeper and deeper and deeper into the first point up to the center. It's like you digging a well. Now, when you dig the well, you don't dig the well at different places to different depths. At one place, you go on digging the well. Till what time you dig the well? Till you get the water. Right? Likewise, you go on digging the first point till what? Till you get the source of the divine light. That's all. That's another perspective. So there are two journeys. One journey is going through the different points. Other journey is going through the first point only to different depths to experience the different conditions at the first point only. You will see that the center is also there in the first point only. In other words, the starting point is the end point. That is what you will realize. See, I'll tell you one simple thing. In our day-to-day life, suppose I want to go to trip to Chennai. Somebody wants to go to trip to Chennai or Hyderabad, whatever. You are in Bangalore. Do you think that your journey is completed the moment you reach Hyderabad, or your journey is completed after you come back to Bangalore? What is
After
it?
coming.
Only when you come back to the point that you started, the journey is completed.
Yeah.
Remember that. Right? Exactly the same thing. We start at first point, we end up at first point only. By that time, we would have realized the source. That's it. It's as simple as that.
So that's why U and L remain same in the heart chakra and 13th.
Exactly. It's the same. It's just that it's reversed.
It's 13th, it's same na U by L, heart also U by L.
Only the first point is U and L. U above, L below. Just look at all the other three chakras.
L by U and U by L.
Oh, good that you actually pointed out. I've never looked at U and L in that point. So let me just look at it before answering you. The sixth diagram, no? No.
Diagram 5. Diagram 5.
Diagram 5. But it's L is above and U is below.
New book U by L.
This is also new book Kannada only. So they have given L as above and U as below. So, but this is what we have read from the past books also. Maybe if there's a confusion, we can clarify that. But from the only Pinda Pradesh, there's a reversal. There is U and L. U on the top and L below. All other three are the reverse. So just remember that. That's how it is in the Upanishads also. Only in the Pinda Pradesh, the creation appears to be topsy-turvy. In every other realm, the creation appears to be as it is. There is no confusion. It's not reversed. That's why in the Pinda Pradesh, it is reversed. Every other place, it is as it is.
Then in first paragraph, fourth line, what we find on the right side of the heart, we find on the right side of this region too.
Which chapter?
Central region only, first paragraph, fifth line. What we find on the right side of the heart. Right side of the heart, you, I thought. That's why, right, we find that on the right side of this region too, they said.
1 minute.
First paragraph, fifth line. Central region.
But if you just look at the diagram, it is given the opposite, no?
But as for us, they given nicely U by L.
New book, it
No,
is
this is
U by
again,
L.
this is the old
brother,
book.
diagram.
This is the old book. In the old book, it's written the opposite. So maybe that's the point that we need to clarify. But whatever you're reading is correct and your understanding is also correct. And based
Brother,
on
over
what is
here
given,
in
it should,
old book it is written L upon D3 by U. So it's little bit confusing. L
no,
upon D3 and U.
no, don't worry. Wherever U is there, there will be D1, D2, D3. Wherever U is there, that is the landing part of the superconsciousness for the liberated soul. That's why it's called as D3. That is correct. That is not the point. The point which is being discussed is whether U and L are U and L as in the first point or the reverse of it. That is what is being talked about. But I think that if the new book contains slightly differently, that might be something we need to clarify. But based on whatever explanation is given, whatever you have said is correct. Okay, Ravindra.
Namaste, brother.
Okay, Pa.
The upper part is more better than lower part than Babaji Maharaj written there. We are starting from L and coming back to upper part of the bright side of the heart. Is it after reaching the central region or something like that?
Correct. All the masters, although you see the masters living in a human form right in midst of us, they would always be in the super consciousness portion of the uh, state. They don't come back to L portion. They are always existing at the U portion.
The
So
journey
this
is
body
in
here.
starting from L and coming up to U.
That's all. Correct.
After completion of 13 and back to U.
Correct.
So that is complete journey.
Correct.
And sister is pointing out that right side of the heart region is covering to right side of the brain, something like that. I thought that right side of the heart, A point, B point, C point, A point, until that is cleaned and moderated, right side of the brain will not come to the perfection or purity. I was in that doubt. Now it is clarified now. Yes.
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, good. Coming up to 10:45 and 47. Looks like you people are quite excited. You want to know to the depth of each and everything. That's good to see. But there are a lot of things that you will get clarity on once you actually pass the preceptor thing and then read the 1944 whispers. So I would request all of you to read the 44 whispers after you have cleared the exams. Okay? And you start working as a preceptor, please read that. There are 4 volumes. There are a lot of issues that you can get clarity on. And some of the things we get clarity when we read the book. So, for example, yesterday we were reading the book about having to Babuji being brought down by Balalaji, saying that you cannot stay in the center and work. It's not possible. So you need to come down in order that you can do work. So this flexibility, this is called as flexibility of consciousness. Your ability to move up and down the ladder at will is the flexibility of the consciousness. Okay, it's a term that we don't hear much, but it's a very important concept in the consciousness. Okay, you can go to the realm of unawareness, come down to the realm of awareness and to consciousness, and again go back to the realm of unawareness. Okay.
Yes, brother, how
Piyush
we
Sharma.
can do that?
Piyush.
Brother, just for the sake of clarity, so these points that we read, I mean that one goes through. I think last time we discussed that it is the awareness of consciousness as it develops basically. So these are same irrespective of whatever spiritual path one follows, or is it something very specific to Sahaj Marg?
See, whatever path that you follow, people have tried to correlate the other 3 chakras. See, there are traditional yoga paths which talk about 7 chakras, right? So people have tried to correlate whether the three chakras, the Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, and the Manipura chakra, correspond to the heart points. And it has been clarified that they don't necessarily are equivalent. That's why, to clarify that point, Daji writes in Spiritual Anatomy that we have 16 chakras, 13 that we follow in Sahasrara, plus the three chakras, 12 or three chakras. So the answer to your question is, this is a system that is followed in our mission. So this is not the system that is followed in any other path. This is an entirely invention by Lalaji and Babuji. They have given a new system where you can go to the center at a fast rate by working on the spiritual points. It's a new method. Unlike the older traditional yoga method, it used to take a lot of time and then they never used to cross the Sahasrara Kamal. But this is a method that is allowed to you to move faster and go beyond the SDK, Sahasrara Kamal Chakra, to the center while being alive. So it's a different path altogether compared to the other paths.
But say my doubt was, say, if we take tilts SDK, so would it be like the same route, or would it be it would be something different for each one? Like, it would be different
Till
for each
SDK.
till SDK. That is a common that.
Whether you actually follow this path or any other path, if you take the sittings, you will follow through the spiritual points only. That's not going to change. How you perceive will change because of your understanding.
Yeah. Okay.
Suppose you undergo the sittings and now you read the traditional yoga books. So you will try to understand your experience of the sittings with the traditional yoga book.
Yeah.
Suppose you undergo the sittings and read our book, you will try to understand your experiences by reading our books.
Right. Okay.
The experience will be the same, but the grasping, the understanding would be different, depending on which one you actually want to follow. Okay, points will be the same. For the first time in human history, spiritual points have been marked out and that has been given on a platter for everyone to utilize and make their journey for the first time. Till now, we did not have it. Till now, if you read the Upanishads also, there are many things which are spoken about as possible conditions or experiences, but they had not given any clarity on the spiritual points. For the first time, it has been located in a human system, in a human anatomy in the body, and then clarity has been given what is supposed to happen at each point, which has never happened in the past. Although when you read some of the Upanishads or other spiritual literature books, some of the experiences that we pass through in our journey can be correlated with that. But it does not give you an anatomy. That's why it is called a spiritual anatomy. Like you have a physical body, which is the same for all. You have a mental mind, which is the same for all. You also have a spiritual body, which is the same for all. That is why it is called as a spiritual anatomy. That doesn't differ. Everyone, whether they believe or not, this anatomy is there in everyone. It's up to them to utilize it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Kishore?
Yeah, brother, actually, for this diagram of central region, I was a bit confused. I also shared the image in the chat, in our meeting chat. I have Hindi book from 2022 in that, as well as this English book, which I have shared in the chat. It is L and U, and it is also saying the theory of invertendo comes again here. What we find on the right side of the heart, we find on the... So shall we take it in the next discussion, or how should we see this?
I'm just looking at whatever you have posted in the... see again, this is exactly what we have got in our book. But what sister is saying is that in the new book, they have actually mentioned it as different.
And yeah, the text also, if I am seeing from the picture perspective, because how it was going in the presentation, but there was saying you...
But the only thing that can actually describe these changes, what we are talking about, is that if you look at it from the back side, see, the first point you are looking at it from the front side. So you have to take that factor into account. If you look at it from the back side, it might appear differently.
Yeah, where should we say look this from?
It has not mentioned. It just says that the theory of invertendo comes in again. So that
But the
means it is
wording,
different. That's what I said. Whatever is there in the first point, in the other 3 points, the theory of invert into comes in, it is reversed. That's what we say, it says. But since it is given in 2 different pages as 2 different diagrams, we need to clarify that point. What are they actually talking about?
But the wordings are the same, I think.
Wordings are the same, but the picture, what they have marked, because that picture also needs to be corrected, no? If it is invert into principle which is applied, then what I told you, that whatever is there in the Pinda Pradesh, it is reversed in the other 3, will continue to hold good. Because if the principle of invert into comes in, that's what is happening in the 6th, 7th point also, 10th point also. The same principle continues at the 13th point also. But since they have marked it differently, we just need to check with them, that's all.
Actually, D also they removed, the divine consciousness, no? That also they removed. I got to know that.
That is some of the things.
D1,
What
D2,
happens
D3.
with every version, no? They keep modifying some certain things. And that slightly creates the confusion. Always try to go with the first version, because the original version was as it is, written by Babuji. There is no modification there. As and when more edition comes in, some modification will be there. For example, the version that I have got and the versions that the newer version, there is a difference about 50 pages in these 2 versions. So quite a few things would have been changed. The wordings would have been changed. Many paragraphs would have been deleted. So many things happening. So, and many of the people who are from Babuji Sara, they don't like it. They say, why do you want to interfere with what Babuji has written? It should just be left as it is. That's what they would say, which is also true to some extent. So, but anyway, that's an interesting point that you brought about. We can clarify that, no problem. Okay.
Thank you.
Karthik?
Yeah, good evening, brother. And what I wanted to say is maybe it may be a printing mistake from past book to this book.
We can speculate. What are the possible reasons? Let us not speculate. Let us clarify.
Yeah, because I think, Raghu brother, you remember I had sent you a photo from Towards Infinity, where the circles, they have misspelled it. The Prapanna, Prabhu and Prabhu and Central Region.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of these things gets clarified by the masters. So, for example, there is a lot of confusion between the Brahmahanda, Parabrahmahanda, Prapanna Prabhu, and then Prabhu. Then Daji clarified that entire thing from the 10th point up to the 13th point is the Prabhu region.
Yes.
So the Brahmanda is the 6th, the 7th is Parabrahmanda, the 8th is the Prapanna, 9th is the Prapanna Prabhu, and from 10th up to the 13th is the Prabhu region. That's what we talk about. That Babuji says at the 9th point, you enter into the divine kingdom. And at the 10th point, you stabilize. And that actually makes it very clear that that is the Prabhu from the 10th point up to the 13th point. So, anyway, see some of these clarities we get. For example, even the suggestion that we give, we used to say only divine light is present in the heart and used to sit for meditation. But again, Daji came in and said that the source of divine light. So he modified it. So what happens is as we progress in meditation, final points will be tweaked to make it even more clear for everyone. So that is what is going to happen. Okay? No problem. 11 o'clock. I think you had enough time today. Happy Diwali to all of you in advance. So we will catch up as usual on Tuesday evening. So hopefully by next week, we should be able to finish this particular book. And then the week after that, we will start with the Towards Infinity. Okay? And we will try to cover some of the aspects of the spiritual anatomy also while we go through the Towards Infinity, so that it becomes easier for you to correlate both the books. Okay? So that will be the thing. Good night then. Okay? Namaste.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, brother.
Good night, brother. Thank you very much. Take care.